Hi guys, Sarah with the Wreath Shop here again. Today I'm going to show you how to make a Patriotic Deco Mesh Wreath. Specifically today we are using our Home of the Free Wreath Kit that features this Home of the Free because of the brave sign. Very patriotic. It's got the blue glitter, love a touch of glitter. We have border stripe mesh, which looks great in the curls and cruffles method that we use. It includes these 4 patriotic ribbons and even this glitter star spray. And as always, I've got my tools ready. I have my cutting mat, I have my rotary cutter, some serious heavy-duty crafting scissors, and my wire cutters. You can find all of these at thewreathshop.com under Other, and then go to Tools, and you can find all of these supplies and more. And you can find this wreath kit under Wreath Kits on our website. So let's get started. I'm going to cut all of my mesh at 19 inches each. So we're just gonna go ahead and cut it all. And I like to double it up to cut down on the number of cuts that I have to make. So there are 18 ties on the wreath frame. So you end up needing 18 pieces of each mesh, each color mesh. I'm just going to go ahead and cut it all. I wrangle my mesh here. Okay. So I roll that out. Measure it out to 19 inches. I'm going to set it all aside in a pile until I am ready for it. Okay, I have all of my mesh cut and I've taken my wreath form and I went ahead and spread out all of these ties to get them ready to receive the mesh. And we are going to make cruffles with each piece of mesh and put one piece into each set of ties around the frame. So we're just letting these edges curl in and then we scrunch it up in the center. Do the same here. These last pieces that you cut are tighter on the roll, so they tend to curl up much more easily. Curl and cruffle. And you can see how fun the border stripe looks on that. And we're just going to, I kind of crisscross my pieces in the center like that, and then place it in the set of ties and give it a couple good twists. And you can fluff it up a bit. We'll fluff it at the end. So we're just going to keep doing that all around the wreath in the center and the outside. Curl and scrunch. And curl and scrunch. Okay, so I have added all of my deco mesh to my wreath. Look how pretty and full it is and how great those border stripes look on these curls. Super pretty and shiny. Now we're going to add our sign, and I'm going to show you a couple different ways to add it in case you don't have extra things on hand to attach this. The easiest way is with the jute rope hanger that it comes with. So I am going to put my sign on one side of the wreath and make a big bow to put on the other side. So I'm going to place this over here and simply use these ties that are attached to the wreath frame. So I'm gonna put that down there and give it a good twist. And then do the same over here on this next one. And I'm tying them down close to the bottom of where the rope is attached to the sign. You can pull that through. And then you can just simply wrap the extra around there, around the ties. And again, give it a good twist to just keep that rope in place there. And you can hang it just like that. And it's fine. There will be some movement at the bottom, but that will work if you need it to. It is not, however, how I do mine. So let me undo these. Another method is to use cable mount ties or zip mount ties, which I do not have any on hand, but they're just these little like 1-inch sized squares that have an adhesive backing, and you stick them on there, and then you can take your chenille stems or zip ties to run through them, and you can use that to attach it to your wreath. If you do that, you need to make sure you do add hot glue to those mounts, because the adhesive will wear off and they will pull right off of your sign. The way I choose to add my sign is with a staple gun and chenille stems. So I have a few chenille stems here, and I am simply going to cut this off, and just the same way they stapled that rope hanger on there, I'm going to staple chenille stems on. And I'm going to place 2 at the top, 1 in each corner. Making sure they didn't go through. I like to place it lightly on there to make sure the staples don't go all the way through your sign and poke out the other edge. So I'm going to place it there, and then I'm going to do, I'm just kind of seeing how this will work best. I'm going to do 1 in the center at the bottom. Okay. So just like I did with the rope, well, actually I'm going to, you can just make a loop and tie this onto the ties if you want, but I prefer to tie it around the actual frame. So I reach the chenille stems all the way through my mesh and down around this metal frame, and I'm giving it some good twist there. And then you can go back later and trim the chenille stems down if you want. I'm going to do the same up here. And then 1 more at the bottom. I'm keeping mine on the left side of my wreath. It's on there nice and snug now. I'll pull up my mesh around it, get that all fluffed out so you can see that all pretty. And the easiest way to add ribbon to your mesh wreath is to simply pair up your ribbons. Let's see, I would pair these 2 up and then these 2 up, because I typically pair up a 2.5-inch ribbon with a 1.5-inch ribbon, and you want their patterns to coordinate. So you could also, it would also be totally fine if you did it this way and kind of cute like that too. You got your stars and stripes. But what you would typically do if you're just starting out and you're not ready to make bows and make complicated things. I just cut the end piece off of each new ribbon. Make a nice clean cut. As I would cut all my ribbons to about 13 inches each. You can do this shorter or longer, whatever works for your style. Sometimes I like to do 12 inches just for the center of the wreath and 13 inches for the outer ring. But you're going to cut all those. I'm just cutting them all at 13 inches. Fold them in half lengthwise and cut your V to make that a dovetail. So the easiest thing to do is cut 18 sets of ribbons like this. There would be 9 of each set. And you would take a pair, crisscross them in the center, bunch them up, pinch them, and add them into a set of ties and just tie them in. And then just simply shape them. Give them a little curl. And then you would just alternate all the way around. So the next set, I would take this pair and do the next set of ties with this one. And then next set, I would do these, and the next set these, all the way around, and the same around the outer ring. However, I am going to make a big pretty bow, and I'm probably going to make some what we call cheater bows. So if you want to keep it simple, do that, and that's all you have to do, and you'll have a beautiful finished wreath. I'm going to make a big pretty bow, so I'm going to use my Easy Bow Maker to help me out. I'm going to start with the 2.5 inch ribbons and then move my way up to the 1.5 inch ribbons. So I want a long pretty tail. Let's see, I'm going to make my tail, it's about 13 inches, which I can place the center of my bow maker on the 10 and then measure out to 23. So that will be my tail right there. And then because this is a pattern ribbon, we need to pinch and twist it to keep the pattern side facing up. And I am going to make I'm going to make a 6.5 inch loop. So I just measure that out on my bow maker, measuring it out to 6.5 inches. And I'm going to make 4 of these loops as my base. Measure that out to 6.5 inches. Twist it. Again, the same size. Once you have the first set of loops down, you can just measure all your other loops up against the loops that you already have. Twist. Make that at 6.5 inches. Okay, and then I want my 13-inch tail. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it, comparing it to this other tail here. And then I'll take my blue place it between there, my rods. Make another long tail, and again, twist it. And this time I'm going to go about 1/2 inch smaller for my loops. So this is going to be about 6 inches. I just eyeball it against the loops. You just want to make sure it's a little bit smaller than the loops below, so you can end up seeing everything. I'm going to twist that. Give it a twist and keep it at the same size I just did those blue loops. And twist. And if you are a great bow maker, you can absolutely do this by hand. And kudos to you if you can. It's way too much work for me. I think I'm going to move on to the red, and then I'll have the white on top, so it gives us the pop of white on top of everything else. And you can start making some of these tails a little bit shorter if you want. Twist, and I'm going to make these loops a little bit shorter than the blue loops. So we should be down to about 5.5 inches now. And finally, we've got the last ribbon, or last bow. I'm going to take my chenille stem. You can use white or red or blue or whatever color you have on hand. You're not going to see it, but I am going to squeeze all of this ribbon together and pull it up and out. And you can see how nice and pretty it's all stacked. And I'm going to place my chenille stem over the top in the middle and wrap it around. And you can just simply flip it over. And actually, you can use a chenille stem to do this, or you can use a zip tie. Most people have chenille stems, so you just twist it nice and tight. I am going to use a zip tie because it just gives it such a nice tight finish. Flip that over because this is a large, it's a thick bow. So I'm running the zip tie through there, but before I pull it super tight, I'm gonna run my chenille stem through there so I can attach it to the wreath. I got that nice and tight. The zip tie just gets it tighter than a chenille stem can. A chenille stem is great. It works totally fine. It works great. But the zip tie gets it tighter, so nothing's going to move out of there. And I'm not even going to try to fluff it until I get it on my wreath. So I am going to place this. I want to make sure I place it I don't place it too close over here so that it covers the sign. So I'm going to place it, let's see. Again, I'm going to tie the chenille stems around the wreath frame itself. And I'm going to place it right here, right across from it. And now I can fluff it. And actually I haven't dovetailed the ribbon tails yet, so we're going to do that as well. And you can trim up your tails if they're a little too long. Okay, so now we're going to fluff the bow, and if you're not used to fluffing bows before, you simply want to pull all the loops out and make a bunch of X's with them. And you can manhandle them. Everything's nice and snug on the bow. And you want to make sure you pull them up as well as out. So fluff with the big full loops like that. And then we'll take the blue and kind of crisscross in between. We'll get in between those red and white stripe loops. Just want to make sure everything has its 15 minutes of fame, and you can see each ribbon in the bow. See how we have that pop of white in the center. It really stands out. And I just want to kind of turn it back this way, get it going in the right direction. And you'll probably have to refluff this a couple of times while you're finishing out your wreath. Now you have to decide what you want to do with the rest of the ribbons. You could just do like I said and just do the ribbon tails alternating around. I'm going to do some cheater bows. I'm going to pair up my ribbons again. I really kind of like the stars and the stripes together, so I'm actually going to do these together. And I usually don't measure, but I know a lot of you do. So for these cheater bows, I'm going to measure, I think, out to 23 inches. What do I do with my scissors? I'm going to measure out to 23 inches and dovetail my ends. And I'm simply going to take one and fold it in half and pinch it a little bit closer to the top than closer to the bottom. I'm going to do the same with this one and crisscross them, but we always want the pattern side showing. So on these bottom tails, you have to twist them so they show. See how that was done? And then I'm just going to use the ties that are on the wreath frame to tie them on. And I'm going to add these around the outer edge of the ring, not the center. This is going to be the outer. So I think what I'm going to do, let's see. And see, I like to kind of have this part in the center and have these flipping out to the outside. And you could just go ahead and cut your ribbons at 23 inches if you want to have them all ready. You can do several at a time. And I know that there are 10 ties around the outside of the wreath, so you could do 5 of each color. And that way you can also go ahead and fold them all and dovetail them all together. And you've got to have a good pair of scissors to be able to do that through wired ribbon. And we have them at the Wreath Shop. These and the dark blue handled scissors that are shorter both do the trick. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut 5 pieces of each ribbon at 23 inches. Okay, so I did this set, so I'm going to take these and do the same. Hold them and pinch and twist that back one so you can see it, and twist this. Back so you can see it. And we're going to tie that in the next set of ties. I'm not untying my ties, I'm just tying it right on top there. Goes nice and pretty. A big part of making your wreath look pretty is how you adjust the ribbons once they're added. You don't want to just leave them sticking out willy-nilly. You want to make sure they look pretty. They need to have a little bit of a curve. You need to be able to see them all. So we are just going to keep doing this all the way around the outer wreath frame. Okay, so I've gotten around my wreath to the point of where the bow is, and it is so big and taking up so much room. I want to save a little bit of ribbon, so on this part, on these parts right here, you don't need these big cheater bows, so I'm just going to take those little ribbon tails that I cut, and I'm just going to use those there. No point in wasting some ribbon that you won't see, but you will see these tails, and you do need those. Shaping up real pretty, and these longer ones that I cut for the cheater bows, I'm going to use to put up here where there's more room. This is on the center ring just above the bow. You could add all 4 ribbons right there. There's lots of things you can do. I think I might do that. Let's see how that turns out. We just got ourselves a little cheater bow there. So I'm just going to cut a couple more tails at 12 inches each to finish this off. I think I am going to do one more cheater bow here. You can totally just do the ribbon sprigs. I just want to finish it off and kind of even it out. You could finish it there, but remember the kit does come with this fun glitter star spray. So we've got to add that in as well. So I just like to rip these right off of the stem. The top one, we will clip off. And decide where to put these. You could space them out and you could just space them out around the wreath and kind of have like one here, one down here, and then one coming out the side over here. Or you could do, let's get two that match. You could put them, put them all around the bow. You can buy extra of the star sprays and place them, and get crazy and put them all around. I think I'm going to do 3 around the wreath. And you can hot glue them in if you want. You have to hot glue them to the mesh, but because these are all on wired stems, I'm simply going to poke them in and wrap them around the wreath frame itself. So they are definitely not going to go anywhere. Just spread those stars out. I'm going to do one over here. And then this one, I'm going to add over here. I'm probably going to go grab another spray and just add another one to this. But this looks great. Love how this turned out. I love when you have those long, tall, vertical signs. I love doing the wreath this way to add some balance. So you place it on one side of the wreath and a bow on the other side. There, we just added a bit of sparkle with those. And you can use this wreath for any patriotic holiday, Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to see more videos on how to make wreaths and bows and all the fun things. Happy crafting!